Hello, I'm Patricia McNeely. I'm a Blu-ray twin flame from Chicago, Illinois. And I am a teacher, healer, presenter, and teacher of the new twin flame body. What's the twin flame body? It is the complex of subtle bodies that actually envelop your chakras. And the majority of you watching have more than 7. So if you're just learning about this, pay attention, because in every single one of my videos, you will learn something. Now, this video is especially for women, and I'm talking about female-born women and even people who may have gone through a transition, because you still have organs and connections inside your body. And that's sometimes not really always prominent. So not to get too distracted on that topic, because that's a whole different topic, I'm here to talk to you about the changes in ascension to your body. Now, everyone who is female will go through changes. That's a given. In fact, that's a part of this whole entire reason that you were activated and awakened to begin with. And I have really good news for you, but I'm going to kind of get into it and explain a few things and bring you around to the good news and the reasons why. Now, in some ways, this is the objective, but it's not a given unless people actually work with themselves, because you have new connections, you have new places, you have a new direction. And what I mean by that is the direction is not down, the direction is up. You have connections inside your body. So I have this video that I'm going to explain a few things and why you need to know this, because this is going to keep happening again and again. It's being phased in, not through stages, but through cycles of energy. And the cycles correspond to a certain amount of time. Okay, that simply means it's going to take time for you to get better and get out of old levels. Now, as we are leaving the old level, a lot of people are breathing a breath of fresh air and going like, whew, glad that whole year is over with. We're only at the beginning for some things, but last year paved the way for a lot of things to begin to happen. Okay, and these are some of the things, changes in ascension. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is menopause. Regardless of what age you are, you can experience yourself having menopause. Now, for some people, it will be actual menopause because of their age and because of other things within their body. And for other people, it may be completely baffling to you and your medical providers as to why you're experiencing this. And just to answer those questions out there, is there such a thing as andropause or men's cycles? The short answer is yes. And men have been noticing it. And sometimes men ignore it because sometimes they cannot identify it. That's a completely different topic too. I have a separate video on that. So let's focus here back to the women, back to the females, okay? This has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. It has to do with your connections to who you've been, and your connections to where you're going. It has connections in several areas. So a lot of times we just think of those areas as being one part. A lot of times it's just the vagina. And it's not. There is so much more to this. Like a lot of things on this journey, there are layers, there are parts of the process, and yes, it is a process. So rather than treat it as a crisis or a crisis that comes up, because sometimes what seems like a crisis will come up with some regularity, and you have to pay attention to that. Please pay attention to yourself. Over a year ago, I started noticing that people really weren't paying attention to themselves. I would ask them to, focus on themselves, and it's taking a little bit of time, because as females, we are also very conditioned to focus on other people and nurture them. and things like that. That's sort of normal, but you're heading to a new normal. So focus on you. So what are these areas? Well, I've kind of broken it down here into 3 sectors of your life. And even though I'm calling these 3 sectors of your life, you're not going to be allowed to compartmentalize your life anymore. If you love someone else, they will not be able to compartmentalize their lives. And what does that mean? That means where people have little, like almost like department stores. There's a department for love, there's a department for family, the two never meet. They have a department for work, okay? Women have those things too. And we also have cycles to our life that have dictated when our life is over. We're still alive, but we're expected to be the grieving widow. Or we are still alive, but we've lost our spouse and we get shunned. Or we are still alive and yet we are expected to climb on that funeral pyre and burn ourselves to death. And these are the types of things that I have seen when I have done people's sessions and we've worked on past lives, removing that, because those things have caused damage. It damages the subtle body, and that, tends to be felt in this life, but there's no context for it. So let's talk about these different segments of or sectors of your life that are expected to come into oneness. So there are so many ways that you will come back into your one beingness. And this is but part of it, but it's an important part. It's important that you pay attention. But beyond that, it's important that you get my material on it, because that material is the way that you surf, you kind of body surf right up into an entirely new level and new experience. So let's talk about reproductive, okay? With the reproductive system, now you can look all around you and you can see people that are able to reproduce like rabbits. They have some regularity with that. They have a big family, or they come from big families, and it just kind of runs in the family. And then you see other people that they are infertile to an extent. They seek ways to get fertile. They seek ways to have a child. It's very upsetting. It's very baffling and confusing. And yes, there are sometimes medical reasons or injuries that have to do with that. But a lot of times what it has to do with is metaphysical reasons. So you have systems within you that now must function properly. And for a lot of people, a lot of women, we just don't have proper functions in everything. Things don't really synchronize well together. And it's becoming more and more noticeable that things are a bit erratic. Things are irregular and are not regular. You're heading to a new normal. One of the other things is fear reactions. People have fear reactions when it comes to their reproductive. Ever known anyone who thought that they were pregnant? A lot of people go into fear mode. They're just afraid. I'm pregnant. What does it mean? My whole life is going to change. What if I can't take care of the kid? What if? Fear mode. Guess what? A lot of that has accumulated for a person. Okay? Ego issues. This is sometimes identification. It's the things the mind say to a person. It's the things that other people say to a person. It can even be things such as, when are you going to give me grandchildren? After all, my life has no identity unless I'm a grandmother. I'm not seen as anyone worthy, or I have no status in society. Old stuff, but it's still there. It's still in place on a lot of people, in a lot of cultures, from a lot of cultures. And it's just like that. It's been that way, and it's been that way throughout lifetimes, centuries, and honestly, eons of time. Ego issues. Are you connected to other people's ego? Is your identity as a female tied to all other people, and not just society, but like people that are close to you. And how would you break away gracefully, graciously, without neck down, drag out arguments or a lot of contentious energy? It gets easier with doing my body work. Some of that stuff just begins to shift around and get easier and easier. How about the internal drive to be a mom? That mother impulse and the desire to mother or be a mom or get pregnant is a driving force of some people's lives. Not everyone, but some people are absolutely driven by that. And they will hook up with the next person that can actually do that for them. That is not always a happy relationship make. Some people are not happy even when they have the kid because that drive has come from someplace. And sometimes it doesn't matter because it overrides every other sense within that person. So is that a factor? Yes, that has been a factor again throughout history. And sometimes it's been beyond all reason. I remember a conversation I had with my mother recently, and she said, "Oh, you don't know what it was like before birth control." Now, I'm not going to get on the controversies of birth control. I'm just going to say this as a conversation, mostly said to me, and I listened. And she said, before that, everyone was pregnant all over the place. And, women didn't know and they were scared. And it made so many changes for so many people. Okay. So, that's an innovation. And just to mention, that is an innovation brought in by an African-American person. An African-American professional helped bring in that innovation. I'm happy to say that. So, what else? Health scares. This is supposed to be health scares. So health scares that people have. What is that? Sometimes too many pregnancies, and the person is putting their heart or their body at risk if they were to continue on that path of pregnancy after pregnancy. Now, I'm Irish. We are notorious for having large families. We are notorious for having Irish twins, where there are children born within, say, 11 months of each other, 10 months of each other, where the mom gets pregnant right away. The mom dies in childbirth. And this has been very common where a man could have a wife, 2 or 3 wives because the wife would simply wear out. There was not the best medical care or health care or wasn't around. And boom, there you have it. These are things that people suffer from because that's ancestry too. That is in the ancestry. And I help alleviate that so that you get healthy and well. Now, what about the next part of a woman's life? The daily life. And again, this doesn't matter if you're a lesbian or if you're hetero or if you're bi or if you're questioning or anything. You have parts of you that are on their own body clock. And it doesn't matter if you try to deny it, they're there. It doesn't matter if you're a lesbian, you try to hide your, menstrual cycle, because some people are really good actors and actresses. That's fine. But it's still there. And it's still going to have an effect, and it's still going to need shifting. So if you want to get to the new level where those things are largely not a concern, especially for people that are lesbians, if you're pretty convinced you don't really want a child, then get with the program and start upgrading yourself so that this becomes brand new for you. But what does it mean for your daily life? It means moods. It can mean headaches. And I mean very bad migraine headaches that leave a person feeling dysfunctional. They don't want to engage the world. They can't even go out in light. They're very photosensitive. They're sensitive to light and noises, and it's just a terrible, terrible experience on top of the pain. And the people around them compensate because they can understand they're in pain, but that's a lot of loss of life and production. How about generally feeling like crap? You're not really sick. You don't have a fever, but you just don't feel like it. You don't feel okay. And you really can't say anything beyond that. Believe it or not, those are parts of you that need to come into alignment and synchronize with your much higher 5D self. That is what I know how to help people with. How do you get this going? And let's say some of the other things, some of the rushes of energy in you, heart accelerations that make you feel like ka-dunk, 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 and like your heart could just like needs to do something. Okay, you could have the total opposite and you could have that. How about ruining 1 week per month for on average about 50 years? Do you know that is 18,000 days out of a woman's life that she will usually have her cycle? That's a lot of time. 18,000 days. Divide that by, 365 and see how many you come up with. It's a lot, okay? It's a lot. You're here to enjoy. You're here to be in love. You're here to not be dragged down with these old things, old ancestries from your feminine ancestors. Your female ancestors endured a lot. Tough. But you know what? No more. The buck stops here. We're setting boundaries on that because now you have a new way to get yourself up and running through the template of 5D relationship. Get those lost days back and do something fun with it. Or lay with your lover and do something fun with it, right? We want to stop ruining this. Leaking, okay? Many women just leak. We leak tears, we leak urine, we leak blood, and we leak. Okay, it is not pretty. It's embarrassing. It's been considered shameful. It has been part of the reason that, some people get sequestered or they stay home or they call in sick. A lot of lost opportunities and lost production. Not to mention clothing, linens, and all of the other accoutrements that a person must buy or can't afford to buy because of just being a woman. So this is a lot. And the feminine, the divine feminine from above you is nothing if not efficient. This is not efficient anymore. It is counterproductive. It is leaving people with a diminishment of their real life and the life that they should be entitled to and the reason you're here. So let's talk about the romantic life, okay? Because that's the real reason you're here. You didn't come into this to be a junior psychologist, nor did you come into this to, babysit someone's addictions, nor did you come into this to just be, dropped on your butt. No, this is a new time with a new objective and new ways. I have those ways. In fact, my modality gets very accelerated results. I'm very proud to say that, okay? Not many people can say this. This does not have to be dragged out for years and years and years, especially for those of you who have been on this journey for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Time to rediscover why you're really here. Time to stop getting sidetracked and distracted with all kinds of other stuff that really will not help your systems. So there's such a thing as striking a balance, and there is such a thing as truly synchronizing yourself with love. So your romantic life, this is your ability to feel. Do you know that sometimes, this is true for women, let's just use the example of breastfeeding. If a woman breastfeeds her baby, the nipples lose sensation. How would you like to get that feeling back and really discover what nipples really can feel like? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And you will feel it because my work brings that etheric touch from your 5D love so that you get jump started, so that you get feeling back. It's not just feelings, it's sensations. It's not just an endless purge. What about the ability to orgasm, okay? And not just one orgasm. I'm talking about those high poignant ones and those deep rolling wave ones where it's just like, oh yeah. What about your ability to do that? Do you know that some women don't even lubricate? They don't get their own lubrication. So how do you know this? And how do you know when you should really not be with someone? If you're not having a good time in these departments, set those boundaries and say, enough already. Time for me to get up and running where I need to be. If you are disinterested, if you're bored, if you're with someone who is boring you, if you're in the sack and your mind starts wandering and you start going like, did I leave the oven on? I really think you're thinking of everything but, and you're not present in the moment. You cannot have a response, or they don't respond, okay? Because that happens. Someone's not supposed to be with you. They are not really responsive. They're not body responsive. Pay attention, because your guidance is not going to, come down with a bolt of thunder and lightning and say, thou shalt not be with this person. You're supposed to pick up on it. You're supposed to pick up on it. And if you're not, really having a full, well-rounded experience, if you're giving in and compromising, that's on you. Time to get out of that mode too. So your ability to do this is actually vital and life-giving. And some people have been shamed out of it. Some people have even been taught that females don't have orgasms. It's very elusive, the female orgasm. There's books on it. With the new modality that I have and helping you integrate your template of relationship, that becomes a no-brainer, which means your body simply takes over. Your body simply starts rewiring the parts of you that do have to respond and want to respond and lubricate and, become really who you are. Because this whole thing is not about being a spiritual warrior or warrior. It's about being a lover. That is your new identity. What about addictions? Addictions or addictive behavior. To an extent, a lot of people feel like they have to get high or drunk or something in order to give in to sex. They have to lower their inhibitions. And sometimes they don't realize it. Sometimes it just starts happening when they're like 16 years old at a party and, it's suddenly time to just kind of give in or get it over with or try it or lose your virginity or something like that. Okay. You may not get the actual physical virginity back, but the direction of this is to feel as though you have never been touched by anyone except someone who loves you. That you didn't give in, you didn't compromise, you didn't, go and give it all away or feel like you got, everyone took a piece out of you. No, that is not who you are. And that is not sovereignty. True sovereignty means knowing yourself and being self-directed from your higher self. Not with your mind, because sometimes your mind will do those things like, should I, shouldn't I? Okay. What are the addictions in your romantic life? Do they even belong here? I mean, really, we got to ask some hard questions here and stop making this all light and, time for you to come out of the cocoon and grow. Okay. You should have an attentive lover. So instead of talking about red flags, I want to talk to you. There need to be some green flags, green lights in your relationships. If they are not attentive, if they are not asking you about yourself, if they are not, caring how you feel, if they don't care about your activities, your family, ditch them, okay? If they are non-responsive, ditch them, okay? Don't worry about words like ghost or narcissist. Pay attention to you, okay? That started over more than a year and a half ago, where if you haven't started paying attention to you, it's really time now. It's long past the time when you should start doing that. Okay. Not being shamed. People should not feel ashamed for wanting love. And many times people have been judged or shamed or, had opinions put on them by other people. My modality, by integrating your template of relationship, actually shifts the mind and the mood, the emotions of the people around you so that those things don't occur to them. Let's dial that down and diminish it and right size this stuff so it's not full of, scares and fear reactions. Loss of desire and frigidity. Loss of desire is a real big one for women. Now, this is one of the differences between the old, where people are told there's plenty of fish, and yeah, there's a whole pool of soulmates you can go swimming in, and if it's out there, if you're looking for it, it's out there, and it'll get stranger and stranger and strange. Or you could focus on what you're really here for, which is to be in love, okay? And I'm not even going to use the words that seem to be, a mixed thing for people, but the twin flame is the etheric body connection from 5D that helps guide you and steer you. If you have body functions that need to upgrade, okay, there's two things that I would highly recommend, and again, check this out with any medications that you are taking, or if you are or plan to become pregnant. One is ashwagandha, okay? Ashwagandha distinctly works with the pituitary gland and is very helpful for the feminine part of you, including your feminine parts. So this is a part of how you can start with an internal reset, but it doesn't stop there, and you wouldn't take it consistently. Some people take it for a really long time. No, there's a way to take it so that you're achieving some maximum growth. It can stimulate the human growth hormone. So if you are an older person, this is vitally important for you to stimulate new internal growth. And so I have that in my webinar, which is pre-recorded, that I called Mother Mating Crone. Another one that is very, very helpful, which I recommend in here and at certain times, is female hormone blend. Okay, this is a blend. It may not be available everywhere, but it is a blend of herbs. It's very helpful. So if you're feeling tired, draggy, lethargic, you don't want to engage with the world, you'd rather stay in bed, you feel old, decrepit, icky, crappy, try some. Because the herbs, the essence of the herbs. Now, one other thing to mention, you can't just hold the bottle and wave it around and capture the essence. You actually need to take it. That is a misconcept that's floating around out there by, I don't know, so many people that are like, what if you could take, no, take the actual herbs or drink them in a tea. There are some available in tea form. Okay, I have so much more information in this production that is called Mother Mating Crone. The reason being that this is an old expression indicating the phases of a woman's life. The mother phase, or mothering someone. The maiden phase, or the untouched young woman, the virgin, the one who is here to be courted and have her first love. That's a huge thing for so many people, is getting back to the feeling of having first love again, the excitement of first love, the excitement of first romance. Even if you already had 10 kids, it's supposed to be exciting. Love is exciting. Love is not draining. Love is not supposed to drain you with narcissism research. Oh my God in heaven. I just shudder to think of all this crap that's out there. Crone. What is a crone? Crone is an Old English word that denotes a wise person, a person who has lived a long time and has learned through trial and error and has retained their wisdom and developed maturity. There's no loss of that when you integrate your new template. Your new template is here for you to tap into that. And it's not down there in your private parts. It is up here in your high heart, in the heart. That is how you allow yourself to be steered by the heart and not the head. So please get my pre-recorded webinar, in which I include a one-on-one coaching session. So you have all of the material, the channel opening exercises, the herbal recommendations, working with essential oils, and coaching, so that we can get specific for you. So check it out. The link is below. Check out my website at twinflamebody.com. There it is, right there behind my shoulder. twinflamebody.com. Everything is going to be new for 2021. Get on track, get with the program. I mean, that's just suggestion and advice for you. If you haven't done anything in the past 3 years, make it time. Make it time, because it's time. The things you've been waiting for, they can start showing up this year. Bye now.